Well, for anybody that's been here in past years and has had me go through this same exercise, you know my passion for agricultural education, agricultural outreach, and in basically indoctrinating or inoculating, I should say, younger folks, both actually, but inoculating younger folks with an understanding of agriculture, of the importance of local agriculture, what makes Delaware agriculture special, and different at the same time. So I want our winner to actually introduce himself, but then he's going to read his essay. I read it here just a minute ago, and it does all the things that that I've just kind of talked about what makes Delaware special, what makes Delaware agriculture and farmers special, and I think you'll be enlightened by reading his essay.
Hi, my name is Aaron Jeffrey. Okay, Delaware agriculture. Compared to Delaware, global agriculture is infinitely more complex and connected, and for many reasons, like the climate differences, which aren't very different across Delaware but are varied across the world. These differences in climate also cause the different exports and imports that a country might have, just like the states in the US. For example, Norway might import some things that can't be grown there because of its cold climate, and might export some things to other countries that can't grow or produce things because they might have a hotter climate. Like I mentioned before, this same connection can be seen between the United States. A good example of this would be that different areas of the US produce different things, like the area around Washington and in general. The northeast area of the mainland produces lumber, and even just going from Washington to Idaho, you'll see more potatoes being produced, and this difference can be seen anywhere in the US. Going even more specifically, in Delaware, there are many different crops grown, like corn, soybeans, watermelon, etc. And all of these things aren't grown in one place, so they're moved around the state of Delaware, especially when these things are grown in a family farm. The farms that have been run by one family for generations, because those are the farms that are known across Delaware. An example of this is High Point Farm, which is a dairy farm which produces milk and other products. And the milk can be seen in grocery stores across Delaware. Now, this all couldn't happen overnight, and had to start somewhere. The history of Delaware's agriculture really started thousands of years ago, but for time's sake, let's say it started in 1631, when Dutch settlers grew crops in Delaware, after being introduced by the natives. However, a growing conflict between the settlers and the natives caused the settlers to die out. More people came to Delaware in 1638 when the Swedish came and created a permanent settlement and grew similar crops as those compared to the natives. The amount of people in Delaware kept increasing over time, and a variety of crops grew along with it. For example, the people in this area grew soybeans, wheat, and had domesticated animals on farms, so they also produced beef and pork. An interesting thing that allowed for this area to produce so many crops was that the main income for Delaware was export at the time, was the fact that the soil in Delaware was very rich and contained many nutrients that allowed for crops to grow rapidly and abundantly. This would continue until the Industrial Revolution, which changed the way that crops were grown with more technologies like motorized tractors. People could plant and gather crops even faster, not including the chemicals that were being produced at the time to keep crops alive for even longer. The agriculture industry grew and grew from that point on. Now, the efficiency of these jobs led to more ag-related jobs like agricultural technicians, and with marketing being the most popular way to make money, retail and agritourism, like Pfeiffer Orchards, has grown. These are just a few of the jobs that you'll find in Delaware agriculture. Out of all these jobs, I have to say that working in agritourism is the most interesting to me, since it seems the most fun. You can interact with people, which isn't really a big interest for me, but the way that people at orchards seem to love their job and the passion behind it is interesting, and would definitely be on a bucket list for jobs that I would want to participate in. This career isn't just about tourism and having fun, though. It has some serious impacts on Delaware's agriculture because it gets people interested in agriculture. For example, I got interested in agriculture because of going to these agritourism places like Linvilla Orchards, which actually isn't in Delaware but Pennsylvania, but this demonstrates the impacts that these places can have interstatewide and the spread of the influence of agriculture. The diffusion of the interest in agriculture isn't just seen from the example of agritourism. If you ask people who work in different agriculture-related jobs for the reasons they're interested in agriculture and what drew them in, they might say they live near a farm and went there to visit animals, and now they might train and work with animals on a farm, or they might have been inspired by the amount of jobs the agricultural industry produced from one single farmer job. An example of this dependency would be, even in my job choice, agritourism. For one, you'll need someone to run the area, people growing crops, and that could be from 5 to 25 people working with crops, people tending for animals, multiple people working with interests, areas of interest like corn and mazes, hay and vanilla mazes, and petting zoos. Even more jobs require people to keep the area in check and up to date, people to advertise the area, and people to sell things, since most agritourism places have an area to sell things, like a market, and this would involve cashiers, restockers, and people to build the shop market, etc. Think about it, one place in already almost 50 jobs have been created, and there's tens of agritourism places in Delaware, so that's hundreds of jobs created. Another good example of this job creation could be from chicken farmers, where you'll need people to supply you with livestock feed, someone to buy chickens from, someone to repair your tractor, house help, build chicken housing, and many more. That's just 5 jobs already, and from one job that could build up over time and allow for many more people to work in the agricultural industry. Seeing this pattern really shows the true potential of any agricultural job, since one job can allow for other openings, and this pattern can be seen across the globe, which is why the agricultural industry is developing quicker and quicker. Overall, agritourism is just one of the many jobs involved in agriculture that do a great job at spreading the influence of agriculture, and which, and develop quicker.
Sí, get him.
Getting a little lightheaded. Overall, agritourism is one of the many jobs involving in agriculture that do a great job at spreading the influence of agriculture, whether it be on a farm or on yeah, a little lightheaded. Yeah. I'd appreciate it, Chair.
Does he want some water?
Mike.
Overall, agritourism is just one of the many jobs involved in agriculture that do a great job at spreading the influence of agriculture, whether it be on a farm or something fun like a petting zoo. Agritourism can do anyone who wants because of the variation of job choice. From animal handler for the animal lovers, market management for the business type, there's something for everyone to enjoy.
Okay. Is Aaron's teacher here?
Yes.
I don't know if she can. Here we go. Come up and we'll get a picture. We also have 2 winners this year, which is I just found out. You okay? He got within 2 sentences at the end before, and he did all that on 1 breath of air. So I mean, you know,
You're welcome to breathe.
So from listening to to his essay and when he's got a little more time, I'm going to find out where he lives because he's got to be my neighbor. If he talked about High Point and Lynn Villa, and my farm's basically kind of in the middle of those two, and you talked about all that we do on our farm, hay bale mazes and corn mazes, all that stuff. But as I said, his essay talked about the breadth of agriculture, of Delaware agriculture, what makes it special, and kind of from beginning to end. So we have an award, and we also have a check for the teacher as well as for Aaron. Okay. Well, very good. Are you all right to? And now, you okay? Yep. Okay, and our second winner